Hello, you're listening to Storytelling Saga, the podcast that shares stories. I'm your host, Allie, and this week I am joined by actor and puppeteer Jayden Libran. Welcome, Jayden.
Hi, good to be here. Thank you.
Excited to be chatting with you. I'd love to start by hearing about your puppeteer work in particular and training with the Jim Henson Company.
I've always been enamored by puppetry and the world of puppeteers and everything that goes into it, puppet making. And that interest had always sort of been around throughout my childhood, through the shows that I grew up with, Sesame Street, Muppets, Bear in the Big Blue House, Between the Lions, a host of things that were airing at the time. And I wanted to do something different as opposed to what everybody else was making their sons and boys be into at that time, which was sports, which was wrestling, which was stereotypical boy stuff. I wanted to challenge that sort of status quo and take the arts route. And so when I was 6, I started making my first puppets and of felt and paper and whatever I could find around my house. My mom would get very upset when I'd tear up a coat or a shirt or something like that to make puppets. And over time, I fine-tuned those skills. I started doing YouTube videos when I was about 13 with all the puppets that I had made. Made a channel called The Sneeple. And when I was 16, there was an announcement from Jim Henson Company that they were looking for new puppeteers to train. So I had been the youngest puppeteer to partake in that puppeteers workshop. It was a 8-week course, and they kept in contact. And 2 years later, they brought me on board officially to work on their film, The Happytime Murders, directed by Jim Henson's son, Brian Henson. So from there, we've been working together. We've done a handful of things. They've trained me in improv and puppetry, really helped fine tune my skills. And I've gone on to do a host of music videos and short films and YouTube projects, and the list goes on. So it's been great.
That's amazing. That's so cool. And I'm sure obviously you know this, but Kermit himself from Jim Henson started with his mom's like from the
That's
coat
right.
to yeah, isn't that so cool? And also a ping pong ball for the eyes. I learned that recently. I was like, that's amazing. So you're
Yeah.
taking what you got, like yeah, to create what would become iconic characters. That's so cool. Tell me some about like what some of the puppets you created.
Well, I've got a hand. Well, I've probably made about 300 puppets here, so I guess
Wow.
I couldn't say a handful, but yeah, over 300 puppets in my lifetime. There's this one character that I like to do. He's sort of a newer puppet of mine, and his name is Bib. He's got this large mouth. He's almost shaped like a hamburger, so to speak, but he's this large orange humanoid with a big mouth. And he sort of talks like this. Hello, my name is Bib, and I brought him around during the SAG strikes last year. We
Hmm.
had a big puppeteer strike, and I had him on my arm. And he was fun to riff off of. And every now and then I'll slip into that voice. Yes, hello, how are you? I see you. Hello. And that's a fun one that I do. There's Mayor Eugene, who's a crusty, overweight marmoset, who's the mayor of their town there, lacks every sense of ethics and morality, yet is in charge of governing their little town. There's Arthur Frog. He's an old frog like this, who's trying to relive the glory days of filmmaking, but ultimately leads into disaster. There's Sally McFingerly, another elderly frog, but she's an old woman frog, and she sort of talks like this. And despite her sweet nature, she's very much into pranking people and harassing people and guns and violence and things like that. But she hides it behind that facade of an old lady. So
I
there's just so
love
many
that.
characters.
That's
Yeah.
really cool. That's too funny. That's really cool for comedy. I love that. I got to know though, so for you growing up, did you have a favorite Muppet in particular?
Yeah, my favorite Muppet would have to be Gonzo. And
Okay.
reason why was because throughout the 90s, Gonzo sort of took center stage because Jim Henson had died in 1990, and Kermit was still being
Mm,
phased back in through a new performer. And Gonzo was really what was everywhere at the time, was sort
mm,
of the main Muppet for a little bit. And when I was 8, we had a visitor at my art class after school who was a Henson associate back in the 70s or so. And I don't remember what capacity he worked there with, probably a production assistant or something. But he was in contact with Dave Goles, and he got me an autograph from Dave and signed by Gonzo. And so
Wow.
that sort of solidified it for me that yeah, Gonzo's my favorite character. He's eccentric, he's loony and crazy and artistic and wild, and that sort of embodies everything that I like to be.
I love that. I know he starred like Gonzo the Great, and it just was like anything could be art to him. Yeah, that's fantastic. That's
Right,
so
right.
cool. What would you say is like your favorite, obviously, because it's such a huge franchise now. Do you have a favorite Muppets project? Whether it's the original series or anything that's been more recent with the films or anything?
Yeah, as far as the film goes,
Hmm.
I do like The Great Muppet Caper. That's my favorite one, probably the
Hmm.
one I've watched the most. Because that's Jim Henson's only directed Muppet movie. All the characters look polished, everything is just right in place. The songs are terrific. As far as new stuff, I enjoyed the new Muppets Mayhem series. I liked Muppets Most Wanted, and the YouTube videos that they did, the viral YouTube videos for that they were making for a while. I enjoy those.
Did you happen to see on Disney Plus? It's like about Jim Henson. It's called Jim Henson Idea Man.
Yeah,
And even the other projects he did outside of Muppets and how they were considered financial failures at the time, but then they ended up being like kind of like these cult
yeah, cult
classics, like
classic.
Labyrinth, yeah.
All right.
Tell me then about, so shifting then to your voice acting career. First off, I'd love to know what were some shows, movies, or maybe specific characters growing up that helped influence you and inspire you to want to pursue voice acting?
Uh, I would have to single-handedly say The Simpsons
Hmm.
was what sort of inspired me, that sort of lit the flame in that direction. And reason why is because I grew up with just about all the box sets. I think I have seasons 1 through 20 on the DVD, and it would fascinate me when I would learn who plays who on the show. And at the end, there's only six people that are regularly credited at the end, and they play over 200 different characters. And
Mhm.
that fascinated me that Homer Simpson was the same as Krusty the Clown, and the same as Barney Gumble, and the same as Grandpa, and so on and so forth. So when I was a teenager, about 16 or so, I started imitating Simpsons voices, started learning how to do those voices. And for years, I would be fine tuning them. I would be making dubs of Simpson clips using my impressions. And at one point in 2020, they had announced that they were doing a recasting of the Simpsons characters of color.
Mhm.
And I sort of made a Hail Mary attempt at getting on that show. And I was covered by BBC. I was covered on the Today Show and a host of different publications and podcasts and radio programs and things like that. I was posting just about everything that I could of my Simpsons impressions, and that got me noticed by the Simpsons crew. That got me noticed by former showrunners and writers and things like that, who kept me in the loop, introduced me to casting directors, and brought me on board with some of their shows. So I didn't get to do Simpsons characters. I did get to do one episode of background voices for the Simpsons, but more importantly, I was able to network through that process, getting my name out through posting Simpsons impressions online. So, Mike Scully, who was former showrunner of The Simpsons and writer, did a show called Duncanville, and brought me on board for seasons 2 and 3. After seeing my Simpsons impressions, Mike Judge that same year found me through doing King of the Hill impressions, and he looked at my Simpsons impressions as well and brought me on board for 3 seasons of the Beavis and Butt-Head revival. I've been very fortunate to be a part of the hugely popular Helluva Boss series on YouTube, thanks to my works with Vivian Madrano and Maxwell Adams from Billy and Mandy. So it's just been sort of a snowball effect of, knowing people and being at the right time, and getting my stuff across when it matters. So it's been great.
That's really, really inspiring, honestly, because it's like you had a passion for it, doing these impressions, and look what it led to, like in your career. That's really amazing. And I think a good reminder for people, especially voice actors trying to break into the industry, that there's no one path, certainly. It's like you can make your own stuff, put it on YouTube, and then you never know what it could lead to. So that's really, really cool. Really
That's right.
exciting.
It's all about networking. There's people seem to think, oh, if I just put out a demo and join an agency, then it's all upwards from there. But in many cases, it's about who you know, who you can get in contact with. Start small. Usually, these little indie projects are people looking for animators on Twitter or whatever website that they're working on. Just need voices. You can apply there, build a reel off that. People notice that. If it gets popular, more people notice it. It's about upward mobility.
Definitely. Yeah. And again, keeping the momentum going then, and then like, of course, developing your own unique characters as well. Because I know what voice actors always say, it's not just about the voice, but like, can you act? So certainly, yeah.
Right. Yeah,
Mhm.
people seem to forget that voice acting is very much one part voice, second part acting. But I would rather think that the acting part comes before the voice. And I majored in theater arts throughout college, so I wanted to make sure that, in addition to being able to throw my voice, can I convey an actual character, actual emotions? Is it fitting for the scene? So every good voice actor should be an actor first, and throw the voice second, and that's the best approach for you as a voice actor.
Definitely. That's great advice. And so doing theater for you then, so did you gravitate more towards drama, more towards comedy? Like what kind of stuff did you do when you're getting your degree in college?
Oh, it was a jack of all trades, so to
Mm.
speak. I enjoyed comedy the most, but I liked mystery. I liked horror. I like darker themes like that. But generally I like to make people laugh. That's it's sort of a two-pronged thing. I like to make people laugh and I like to make people scream. So it's sort of a best of both worlds for me. I like to blend things. I like to blend concepts and see what works.
I love that. You kind of get both of that in Helluva Boss, I would say,
That's right,
which
you
is
do.
definitely, which is a good segue, of course. So tell me about, did you audition for Helluva Boss or like meeting Vivian Madrano? Tell me about like initially getting involved with the project.
Well, I can only speak for myself here, but to be honest with you, I'm not sure that anyone on this show had to audition. It was just a matter of people having connections and knowing the right people at the right time. And I was doing this ill-fated puppet film that Maxwell Adams was doing. Maxwell is the creator of Billy and Mandy.
Mm.
And for years, for about 7 or 8 years, he was doing this puppet project, Puppet Zombies, called Dead Meat, post-apocalyptic puppet film. And I came in, said, "Hey, you've got these designs. You need puppets built. I will build them. I will puppeteer for them." And so I did. And he didn't really know many puppeteers outside of me. So he was bringing in animation people doing puppets. And one of the people he brought in for that to puppeteer was Vivian Madrano, who, of course, is the creator of Helluva Boss and Has Been Hotel. And so we were basically puppeteering alongside each other on this thing, and then he canceled it. Wasn't going anywhere. But I told Viv, "Hey, I understand you're making animation, and I would love to get into voice acting." And what's funny is that at the time when we were working together, when we had met, I did not know that she was behind Has Been and Hell of a Boss. I saw all the fan art. I was seeing people wearing shirts of Angel Dust, and it was everywhere on Twitter and YouTube, people making fan theories and stuff like that. I didn't know that was her, but we were at a Halloween party at Maxwell's house, and that was the night that I think it was the pilot of Has Been Hotel had dropped, and she was talking about it, and I realized, oh, that's you, and you're behind Hell of a Boss. Okay. So we kept in touch from there. And then 2020 happened. COVID was when she announced that we were going full steam ahead with the show. And we were doing recordings that summer. So she said, I have this character, Colin the Cherub. Here's the design. And pick whatever voice you want. Here's a list of character notes and things he likes and stuff like that. So I sort of found this voice right here. And that's what I stuck with Colin, and he was my very first animated character.
That's so amazing. Colin certainly is of the cherubs like the most innocent, would you say? So is it fun to like play with that dynamic of when he's like kind of peer pressured to like do questionable things that supposedly they seem like they're doing good, but they're questionable, the other cherubs. He seems like the true, like genuinely innocent, sweet character.
Oh yeah, and I think that's intentional on their part.
Mm.
He is a sheep, and so
Yeah.
that's sort of metaphoric and literal here. that he's willing to appease just about anyone, even if it is his downtrodden, deviously scheming best friends or slash coworkers. He just wants the best for people, and I think we sort of saw that they're willing to throw him to the wolves within the very first song that they did. They literally toss him out, and he gets shredded up by a pack of dogs and such. But he's just an innocent soul. He doesn't mean any harm for anyone, even when they are attacking each other, when they're fighting imps. He's the most reluctant and hesitant and just wants the best for everybody. He doesn't want any of this drama, but only gets sucked into it because, a little short-sighted perhaps, but he means well.
That seems like the start of like for him, he could either like break away from them. I guess we'll see as the show progresses, but I'm eager to see that because right now it's like the dynamic is a bit toxic with his cohorts. So poor Colin, what he has to suffer through with these two. Oh gosh, it's
Oh,
funny.
it's terrible.
Poor Colin. Oh my gosh. But speaking of that episode too, of course, I know you also voiced. Does this character have an official name, like the candle shopkeeper in the Lust Ring? Does he have a name or no?
No, he doesn't. I call
Hmm.
him Lex with three X's because he works at a sexy candle shop.
I like
But
that.
thank you. He doesn't have an official name. Some people have said Candelabra, but
Oh.
everything else, as far as I know, he doesn't have an official name. But I call him Lex.
So now tell me, in terms of voicing, I guess you can call it like an incidental character or like perhaps a one-off character in just this episode. Do you approach Viv saying like, "Hey, could I voice this character?" Or does she ask you like, "Hey, would you want to voice him?" Like, how does that work?
Oh, she usually asks me. They'll
Okay.
give me a list of characters for a certain episode and say, "Hey, you're gonna do this one for this one." And this time around, they handed me shopkeeper in the script.
Mm,
And so at first I had him talking like this because they didn't have a design for him at that point. And
mm,
for many of the characters that I've done, they didn't have a design except for Colin. But they gave a description, said he was like a spider-like demon. He's big and he runs this candle shop. So I thought, okay, this is a guy who is around candles a lot. That's probably got a smoky voice, probably smokes. So
mm.
I gotta rasp it up a little bit. And so I brought it up like that. Welcome, little one. What can I do for you today? And they went with it. And you see, I have a video out on my socials of me
Yeah.
doing that voice in real time. And it's a fun voice to do. It's incidentally enough, it's also based off this voice that I did for a really raunchy song that I wrote years ago. um it's sung by like a voice that sounds like that, and he's singing about making large appendages. So that's sort of what I had in mind when I came up with that voice, and it carried through and it works.
That's cool then, like the versatility of it that it can be used in these different worlds. Because I mean, yeah, like the visuals of that character, it's so cool. But then like, yeah, the phallic shaped candles, that's too funny.
Right.
And then I know you also voiced the like the dad. It was I guess like that random or is he a dad? I
Oh
don't know,
yeah,
just
the
that random.
pedestrian.
That's too funny too.
Yeah, they said just do whatever voice you want, and they said you could even make it your voice. So usually when I impersonate myself, I sort of do this kind of voice like that, and that's what I did. Thank you very much. No problem, ma'am. I was just in the right place at the right time, and they went with that, so it worked.
I love that. And so in terms of recording, so this episode in particular, do you go just from like, okay, all of Colin first and then each of these other characters, or do you do it
Yeah.
linearly with you do?
Oh
Okay.
no, we do. Yeah, we do all of Colin, and then we do whatever characters are after that or in between that, and so on and
Hmm.
so forth. And so, for this one, we had Colin first, and then shopkeeper, and then the guy in the beginning. And that's sort of how it works with everything. Um, Usually, when I'm making my own stuff, I'll record voices back and forth and talk to myself. But for projects like this, for other projects, I have to record one character first and then the other character second.
Gotcha. I see. Makes sense. And also, do you record remotely or now like do you record in studio? Like how does that work with this series in particular?
For this series, we're in studio. I can't remember the name of the studio that we worked with. It's been a while, but yeah, we do studio.
I know because it originally started obviously with the pandemic, so everyone was remote and like recording all different parts of the US, wherever, honestly. Yeah, so that's interesting though.
Yeah, they had us coming into studio, but
Mm.
they would be on a tablet or on a screen somewhere and direct us through Zoom. So that was how we did it.
Oh, that's right. I remember other people of the cast talking about that. So yeah, it was like in a studio. Okay, I get it now. Right. That's
Right.
interesting. So like what do you find in terms of like recording in general? Do you generally just record solo? Do you get an opportunity to record with other voice actors at all so far or no?
Sadly, no. I've never
Mm.
gotten that opportunity throughout anything that I've done. Most that I get is Richard Horvitz, our voice director, feeding me lines, or he'll talk to me through a certain character, and that's sort of it. But no, we don't really record together, and I wish that we did because that'd be so much more fun.
I know fans, or myself personally, were like hankering for like even just like you posting this behind the scenes clip. I love stuff like that, just seeing how it's made. It's like just exciting and cool.
We're in production with season three, which I can legally say that we are,
Mhm.
because that's been announced already. So that's in the works. Don't know how things are looking in terms of the voice recording sessions, but it would be a lot of fun to do this in person with everyone.
I know that's what's interesting about animation, of course, that it's still like just a very long process. What would you say for you personally has been, have you seen like what's like the fastest turnaround in terms of you recording something and then seeing it out in the world?
I mean, as far as any animation that I've done,
Mhm.
quickest that I've seen was probably within a week, and that was because I was working with just one guy who was doing everything. But for these big studios and stuff like that, I might see something within 6 months, maybe less. So we'll see. I'm gonna be in Studio Tuesday for a show that I did recently. We're doing some retakes, and they might have something complete, or
Mm.
they might have an animatic. So we'll see.
Oh, cool. Okay, yeah. So that's like ADR basically, right?
Right.
ADR, which for people don't know, that's what's it actually stand for? Additional dialogue replacement or I
Yeah.
don't even know.
Yeah. That's exactly it.
Okay, very cool. But yeah, so then I know you mentioned this too that you work on the revival of Beavis and Butthead. So like is
That's
that like
right.
intimidating coming to something that's already a big franchise and beloved, or is it just like exciting? Or I'd love to hear about that a little bit.
Oh, it's a little bit of both. What was intimidating was the fact that Mike Judge even saw my Twitter and had messaged me through it and kept in contact and was decent enough to do all that for me. Because at that point, nothing that I had done had been out really when he
Mm.
messaged me when we first started talking. So I didn't have much credits. I didn't have an animation reel that I could show him. It was just, hey, I'm a huge fan of your stuff. This is my Hank Hill impression. I hope you like it. And he did. Said it was a great Hank Hill impression. And I asked him, hey, I know you guys announced Beavis and Butthead earlier this year. What's that looking like? Do you know when it's going to be out? And are you needing extra voices? And he said, yeah, let me forward my casting director your way, Julie Ashton, and brought me on board for Beavis and Butthead. Been on for 3 seasons. I play Cody, their classmate who despises them, and their manager at Burger World. So it's been super rewarding, but also very intimidating. I got to record with Mike Judge first time I did the show. Now we've got other people directing me, Lou Morton and other people. But very first time, Mike was super courteous and kind to do the direction on that episode, and it was of course through Zoom. But getting to meet him and to be read lines with him doing Beavis and Butthead and me doing my character was super surreal. And when we closed out that first recording, it was about 2 days before Thanksgiving at that point. I said to him as Hank, be sure to smoke your turkey in a nice, clean burning propane grill, I tell you what. And I got a laugh out of him. That was super fun.
Oh my gosh, I love that. And obviously that series is coming back as well, King of the Hill, so you never know.
Yeah, yeah, it is. That's I'm so glad to hear that that's coming back. That had been in the pipeline for probably a decade or so since it's been off. but it's finally coming back next year, and we've got a lot to look forward to.
Definitely. I know it's always exciting too because it's stuff that's so beloved and people want to see these characters now. I know they're aging up the son, Bobby, right? I think I saw
That's right.
that. Yeah, that's cool. That's going to be interesting. But I saw also actually I loved your impressions for Futurama. I thought those were amazing and like
Oh
spot on.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, fun story about that. I can't remember when I posted that, probably 2021 maybe. But I posted Futurama impressions to Twitter, and that got seen and liked by Billy West and Lauren Tom and John DiMaggio and Phil Lamar and people on the writing staff. So that was just another instance of people from the show, the voices themselves, seeing my stuff and liking it. And Billy West gave me a follow.
Mm,
We had been talking, and I got to meet him last year. I got to
mm.
meet Phil Lamar before that. I met John DiMaggio earlier in May this year, and I got to meet Matt Groening.
Wow.
And it's been, yeah, David X. Cohen as well. It's
Mm.
been super rewarding. It's been super gratifying to not only do impressions in front of them, but get feedback from them and hearing them say that, wow, that's really good. So my hope is that someday I get to work with them and just about every cartoon that I enjoy so much, I like to work on. But being able to do voices alongside Billy West and alongside John DiMaggio and Phil Lamar is like a childhood dream come true. And I live for those moments as a voice actor, is getting to connect with the people who not only inspired me, but was all that I grew up with pretty much.
That is amazing and incredible because it's like they say don't meet your heroes, but obviously these are such talented people who, yeah, like just kind of like shaped our childhoods growing up watching all these beloved shows still to this day. Obviously, Futurama has been revived as well, coming back with a new season soon. So work on that show too. You
Right.
never know. But I want to go back in terms of with Helluva Boss. I wanted to ask you, have you had the opportunity to go to any cons at all yet and like meet fans in person or not yet? Hmm.
Only as a casual visitor.
Oh, okay.
People
Hmm.
recognize me, people have seen me. It was funny. I went to the one that I went to in May, Comic-Con Revolution, where I met John DiMaggio. People were like, "Hey, aren't you Jayden?" I was like, "Yeah, it is cool that you recognize me." And people were asking for pictures and stuff like that. People, seem to recognize me, seem to like me, I would like to think. But we finally got representation in that regard, where I'm with Andrew Ho from Gung Ho Bookings, and I'm looking at Epoch, Epoch Agency, and we're getting some conventions underway. I think I've got three coming up or so within this year, within this summer. So fingers crossed. I really would like to do more. They did level up 2 years in a row in Las Vegas. That's the one that I'm aiming to do the most because that's probably like the biggest gathering so far as I know of has been hell of a people, not only from the show but from the fandom. So we'll see. Fingers crossed. But if anyone listening to this is interested in autographed prints, there's streamily.com/Jayden Libran. I've got prints of the shopkeeper, prints of Colin, and more coming up for the cherub. So if you like to support, then that's where you can stay up to date with events and prints.
Oh, perfect. Very cool. That's all very exciting. Yeah, because what I've seen, I've been to a few conventions. I met the Helluva Boss cast back in November at Anime Pasadena, actually. And it was like a smaller convention, but it was still really cool, really exciting seeing everyone. And what blows me away is just seeing people's incredible cosplay as the characters. It's like they go all out with the paint, with all like the little
Yeah,
details of
and the
bringing the characters
wigs
to
and the
life.
suits and the props and all
Yeah,
that stuff.
it's beautiful and just shows like the passion of we're all such huge fans of these characters, of the writing of this world that Vivian Madrano created. So it's fantastic. I hope like you guys some days and you guys the cast, like if you all cosplay as your characters, that would be amazing. That would be like so cool.
That'd be fun, yeah. Some of them would probably get away with it easier than others. I don't know that I could do a good Colin the Cherub, but maybe the shopkeeper, I don't know. That'd be a lot of fun. Morgana Ignis is wonderful as Sally Mae.
Yeah.
It's only a matter of time, I think. But I think the biggest idea that I've had, and some
Mm.
others have had as well, is doing sort of a live concert. either Helluva
Oh,
Boss or Has Been. It'd be or
yeah.
both. It'd be great to sort of have like the episode or the scene projected on a big screen, and then
Mm.
we sing it live, sort of Hollywood Bowl style.
Oh my God.
That's what I like to do, and I think fans would like to see that. I think it would sell very well if we did it.
Oh, absolutely. That would be amazing. Everyone would be singing along and that would be incredible. I could definitely see that. Yeah. I'm like excited just thinking of it. Okay, let's make that a
It's just a
reality.
concept for now, yeah.
No, definitely. But I'm sure, yeah, as the popularity only continues to rise for each of these shows, we'll see. Because I know this has still been in the works too, that Vivian has spoke about publicly, is like getting a soundtrack first out there for like each of the shows. So we'll see where that goes.
Right.
That'd be an amazing thing, though. I know you guys in the past, I'm hoping you'll do more of these in the future. You've done cast watch-alongs and commentary, like available on Streamly, I believe. Don't
That's
know.
right. We have, yeah.
I'm hoping you guys will do more of those because I love seeing that and just like hearing things that we wouldn't otherwise know about, whether behind the scenes or just like the process of making the episodes. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm hoping we can do more of that. Thing is, now
Mm.
that the show's really kicked off, I guess we haven't had much time to do those Streamily events. People are always traveling, so getting everyone's schedule aligned for these things, as well as making the show itself and other
Mm.
projects that everyone does, might be, a bit of a crunch for us. But those events are super fun. That was where I met Mara Wilson,
Oh,
Mrs. Mayberry in episode one, and we've become really good friends from that. So who knows? I'm hoping we can do that. Recently we did a watch party at Viv's place, and we saw a host of episodes that aren't out yet, which I can't talk about, but that's sort of the closest thing that we've had recently, as far as I know, and that was a lot of fun.
oh, nice. That's amazing. So have you met like all the cast? I'm sure not the whole cast, but for the most part, you've like met the whole cast in person.
Yeah, I've met most of them. Yeah,
Mm.
the ones that reside in New York, I haven't met.
Oh,
That for obvious reasons they're not really out here that often, or I'm not out there, or they're just busy. But
yeah.
yeah, I've met and occasionally even worked on projects with the team. Brandon brings me in on his videos. We did an episode of Class Acts where I play a character's father. I've done narrations for his show Bryce. He actually was very courteous to partake in one of my puppet videos, the Sneeple Halloween Special 9.
Oh.
He lent his voice towards this evil conductor on a train who's been mass murdering all these puppet characters. And yeah, so it's sort of a close family here. We're always working with each other, and we can pull each other in whenever we need. And that's sort of the vibe here is once we work together on something, then we're kind of together for life.
I love that. And you're all so talented, obviously. That's beautiful, honestly, because then like you all, yeah, just like support each other in other projects and endeavors. That's really wonderful. I did want to ask you about Class Acts in particular, because I've been enjoying that show. Of course, that's one of Brandon Rogers' series on YouTube. I'd love to hear just a little bit about that creative process and doing that. Like, do you rehearse? Does he like present you with the character? Like, here, would you want to be in
Oh
this?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'd love to hear
We
about that.
I don't really get much rehearsals in that. I think I've only done one or two episodes, but he gives
Hmm.
a description and he gives me the script and says, "Okay, can you be here tomorrow?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And
Oh,
just
mhm.
bring, this outfit and bring something to change into, and it's sort of we play it by ear, so to speak.
Mhm.
Fill the scene out in real time, gives me the context, and it all comes together. I felt very strong about that cameo appearance that I did in his episode. We got to work with Glozell and I worked with Cornbread. So I enjoyed it. I think his process is very much, and then this is what I respect about working with him and everyone else, is it's very much creative driven and sort of driven by a singular vision as opposed to like a host of different writers and stuff trying to squeeze an idea into one show, but
Mhm.
is very much managed by the creator itself, by, the main people that help develop it. That's sort of what all his projects is he's very much a visionary, and I am too, and Viv is as well, and I think
Mhm.
that's sort of why we all click in that regard.
I love that. I know just like having a clear vision and then you're bringing your talent and creativity to us and it creates things that people love, whether it's on Helluva Boss, whether it's like on Brandon's projects. That's really exciting. Because I know that's a big thing with animation generally, and obviously with Viv, and this is indie animation with Helluva Boss in particular, that since like it's indie animation, that like you don't have to worry about like I guess higher ups. You just like get that natural creativity and just like not having to water things down or whatever it may be, you know? So I think that adds to like the appeal of it. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I would say so, yes.
Obviously, we see, like I said before, the fandom's only growing and growing with the passionate fans. So I think that's wonderful. Are you involved at all, or if you're not allowed to say, fair enough, but are you involved at all with Has Been Hotel or no?
No, I'm not.
Hmm.
We'll see, maybe. But so far as I know, they have mostly kept the cast separate. They are more New York based because they rely heavily on Broadway actors to carry the sort of feel, the emotional tone, and the musical tone of the show.
Mhm.
But if they ever do need background voices, I'm always available. I sing too, so who knows? Maybe sometime season 3 or 4. They just recorded season 2, so probably seasons whatever they're working on next, if they are. I would be more than happy to do whatever sadistic, disgusting, crude demon character that they got for me.
Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah, right, like the exact polar opposite of Colin then, right? Like,
Right.
yeah, definitely. Also, I wanted to ask you, in terms of like singing in character and things like that, when you're basically learning the song, do you kind of like learn the song first and then add the character voice, or I'd just love to hear a little bit about that creative process in particular?
Yeah, when it's a song, so to speak, and
Mm,
I've written songs for my characters, I have the voice in mind first so that I can sort of understand how they're gonna sing it. If I
mhm,
can hit this note, what I can do to adjust it, and if the song fits a certain character. They wrote the Cherub song, and I was one of 3 actors to sing along that. So that's sort of the only song that I've done with Helluva. But for the ones that I've written for my characters, I'm very much a fan of ensemble pieces. I like to throw in as many voices as possible, and usually I'm doing all the vocals. You'll see that in the Halloween special that I did, the one I mentioned earlier with Brandon. It has a song that I wrote, and it's sung by all these ghosts puppets on a train, and it sounds like an old Hollywood show tune. They're enthusiastic and it's catchy, and it's really just a matter of finding out where you can harmonize even with your own voices,
mm.
as you're doing a bunch of other voices, and that's sort of a thing that I like to explore here.
That's really, really cool. I just love hearing about the creativity and mashup of, in this case, of like music and puppetry and voice acting and how it all comes together to just create this really cool, unique, fun stuff. In terms of like your own stuff, is there anything you could share about like current things you're working on?
I'm trying to get a bunch of new videos out. Nothing in
Hmm.
particular right now, but this year happened to be the 13th anniversary of my YouTube channel. So
Oh.
my goal is to do 13, maybe 12 videos by the end of this year. So I have until July 13th to start popping out stuff, and then probably for every month following that, I want to do at least 2 videos a month. Hopefully my schedule aligns with that. But the big project that I put all my attention to is usually the Halloween special that I do every year or every other year. Recently, I've kind of slacked off, but I did one last year. I want to do one this year because this will be the 10th special that I've made.
Oh.
So it's really just a matter of like, do I have the energy to do this? Is this possible within this time frame? Because I perform all the characters myself, and all the characters are usually shot in front of green screen or blue screen, and then composited together so it looks like a big crowd shot and all that.
Hmm.
And that takes a lot. So it's just a matter of figuring out how much time I want to put to this, and will I have time for other things while I'm working on it?
Definitely. Is that a matter of renting like a space or like renting the equipment or do like you have your own stuff? How does that work?
Oh, yeah, I have my own stuff.
Mm,
Occasionally I'll rent out a place or a spot or ask for certain services of other people if it comes to like compositing or what have you. But for the most part, it is just me doing everything, building everything, editing everything, all that stuff, and I'll have a handful of people that do voices for certain characters, and occasionally I have a friend Matt who handles complicated shots that I might not have time for. But just about everything at this point is handled by me.
That's good to like have all these different skill sets, honestly, because it comes in handy just in general. If like, oh yeah, I could do this to help people with other stuff and do your own stuff. So that's really cool.
Yeah, it's still a collaborative effort, but
Hmm.
I have ideas for my characters and how I want things to go, and that's usually what I stick to.
Nice. Yeah. And in terms of for you looking ahead with your career, do you have like perhaps a dream project, whether it's someday creating your own show, whether it's like just anything in general?
So I'd love to work on The Simpsons if
Mm,
any of the actors step down or if they make some kind of like revival series or what have you, some series of shorts or a new movie. I love to do that. I would love to, I guess sort of long term, my goal is that like I would love to be a part of a long running series. I think at some point there's gonna be a new Family Guy, a new Simpsons, a new South Park that goes past 10 seasons or so. And I like to be sort of a part of that. I like to have like a character or characters that exist across generations. That is very much still a collaborative effort, and I'm not the one to determine whether or not that will or won't happen. But uh I like to have a character that's popular and memorable, like Homer Simpson or Bugs Bunny or Daffy Duck or Mickey Mouse, as part of my resume.
yeah, I hear you because they're timeless characters and like you just said, spanning generations, beloved like universally, which is incredible, honestly. And would you say, I just got to know in terms of The Simpsons, would you say Homer is your favorite, like whether it's your favorite character or your favorite character to like do an impression of?
Oh yeah, I love doing that Homer voice.
Homer
Oh,
was a super difficult voice to learn, but one of my favorite characters is Mr. Burns because how cartoonishly evil he is. It's never a bad time when you watch Mr. Burns. So that's what I enjoy.
obviously The Simpsons just still going strong like 35 plus years later, which is incredible too. Even more, well, not more recent at this point, but like even shows like SpongeBob, it's 25th anniversary this year. I know I saw your impressions with
Right.
that too. They made me laugh.
Yeah.
Like your impressions with that was so
Thank you.
fun.
I forgot I even did that, but
You
yeah.
did Plankton Spot. I was like, damn, so good.
Yes, Mr. Krabs.
Yeah, I love it. Too funny. Oh my gosh.
Thank you.
I have to say, like, just generally speaking, like my face lights up. Like, that's the superpower of voice actors, I would say. You could just like make someone's day, like doing, you slip into any one of these voices. So I envy that in a way. I find it so, so cool. Like, you guys that just have such talent, like the character comes to life then with your voice. I love that.
You know what the fun part is, if you
Hmm.
saw any of us on the street, you wouldn't be able to say, "Oh, that guy's a voice actor." You
Right.
know, when you're on the subway or something, or you're passing by people, you say, "Oh yeah, that guy, he works in a cubicle," or "Oh yeah, that's a barista, all right."
Right.
But when it comes to voice actors, there's really no way of telling what it is we do upon first glance, and that's sort of
Hmm.
a level of privacy that I think is beneficial for us in that regard. We're not, seen everywhere all the time, really, and can't afford ourselves that level of, secrecy with what we do as we generate wealth. So, yeah,
Definitely, yeah. You have basically your like you could be a regular person, so to speak, and just like out in the world and not, yeah, that's good. But then like of course when you're in the booth, it's like you're just like in the moment, embodying that character. So that's just a
right,
cool,
right.
I don't know, it's just a cool skill,
It's a
obviously.
perk, yeah.
Mhm. I did want to, this is like shifting a lot, but I saw recently that you posted about like that AI weird shit
Oh
and
yeah, that
that
blew
was
up.
yeah, like good. That's cool that that
I
blew up because it's just like what a shit show that
Yeah.
thing. What would you care to speak to that for people who don't know?
Yeah, so there's a program. Actually,
Yeah.
let me open it up on my phone here. This is
Mm,
such BS, but
yeah.
I there was this program doing AI. Actually, you know what? I won't actually say the name of the thing, but all you need to know is it's AI. They posted a thread of like, this is how we're how we've become such an innovative company, and you should tap into this, utilize these resources and make your films today. And it's a thread of like, oh, this is what a sci-fi Japanese futuristic movie would look like, live action. And here's a shot of a car driving down a road here in case you want to do an action shot. And here is one for an animated movie called Monster Camp. And what it was about a minute and a half mock trailer for what could possibly be a TV show or movie of animated characters generated for kids and family audiences. And it's god awful. It is god absolute dog. I won't swear, but it's one of the worst things I've ever seen. So I was up late at night, about 9:30 or so. I guess not too late, but I went shot by shot and made notes of just about everything wrong with the thing. And
Mm.
you've got inconsistencies, you've got characters staring into dead space. The hands don't match each other. And one shot, people's heights change. People lose teeth and tongues in the middle of speaking. Uh, Certain thing. There's a monster who's like merged with the bus at one point. You got a bus driving down the road, and you've got smoke traveling in the wrong direction from under the bus. Everything is wrong. Every single part of it is one of the like rookie mistakes, obvious mistakes, I should say, that if this was something that you were submitting to a studio to distribute, they would say, no, come back in 6 months, refine all of this. I'm going to send you a package of notes, and we will not push this if you're trying to make this. And if this is their selling point to say, hey, this is why you should buy us, this is why you should invest in AI, then they did a piss poor job because I would not buy this. I would not recommend this program for anyone. It is such obvious, glaring mistakes that I think it's sad that people think on an untrained eye, people won't notice this. And one of the defenses, major defenses I was seeing from people who say, oh, AI is the future, get used to it, this is going to be commonplace, is how it disregards the importance of collaboration and human effort when it comes to making art. People know when something has been slopped together and
Mm.
sold to them without care. And more often than not, people don't invest in that. What people flock to is seeing, hey, this is what someone poured their heart into, has an idea that they want to share, and wants to make people happy, has a message, has a story that they want to tell. AI doesn't have that. It's just an amalgamation of what they think people want to see, usually invested, usually through art theft and algorithms generated by people's art and pre-existing properties merged into something that they think people won't notice. But kids are a lot smarter than we give them credit for. Adults are a lot smarter, frankly. At least they should be.
Yeah.
And they understand when something has been spoon-fed for them by a major corporation without love and care. It's sort of the reason why, there's been huge marketing flops in the past few decades that have been like so corporate driven. Even though that's not AI, people recognize corporatism when they see it. They recognize an obvious cash grab. And now that this is completely void of human interaction, they're going to see this. Even if they took stock in every single note that I made for them and
Mm.
corrected everything, they'll see that this was made by a company
Mhm.
just to make a profit and not actually sell something that was of meaningful value, not actually tell a story, not actually create a character that people can invest in and relate with and enjoy, but just something that they want you to see and buy, and that's it.
Well said. Something that's just soulless and has no actual human connection. Yes, agree with all that, Jayden. Well said. Oh my gosh. So thankfully, it's like we as people, we gravitate towards people with amazing visions and actual creativity and passion and heart. So, oh man, like AI, ugh, screw that. Jeez, just oh man, so agree with everything you said. Yes. So, Jayden, it's been such an absolute pleasure. As we're wrapping up, I'd love to do a rapid fire with you, just kind of like favorite this, favorite that. So just whatever comes to mind, no wrong answers. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'd love to know, first off, what is your go-to comfort food?
Banana pudding.
Oh, yum. What about if you had to choose, just like your all-time favorite show?
The Simpsons.
Nice. What about all-time favorite character?
Daffy Duck.
Oh, nice. What about favorite movie?
It tends to change. I like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I like
Hmm,
Del Toro's Pinocchio in terms of animated movies. I like Up. But I
nice.
don't know that I have a favorite. It tends to shift every day.
What's the movie you've seen the most?
Movie I've seen the most,
Hmm.
probably one of the Muppet movies, probably Great Muppet Caper.
Oh, cool. Nice. What about what's the first concert you've been to?
I regret this one, but Katy Perry in like 2013 or so.
What? Don't regret that, Katy Perry.
I don't
That's
know, she's kind of fallen off.
but back then, 2013, that was like
Back
peak,
then, yeah, she was at the height, yeah,
right?
but
Like
I
teenage
would
dream.
rather trade it in with somebody who's like still cool these days.
Fair enough. That's too funny. But what about, do you have a favorite swear word?
Can I say it?
You could say it. Go for it.
Fuck. Fucking fuck. Fuck this fucking shit. When I say stuff like take out the trash, fuck is an added word that you can use to sort of make the case better. Take out the fucking trash. Fucking take out the trash. Take out the trash, you fuck. That adds intensity, you see? So it's such a versatile word.
I agree. That's my favorite too, because like even like variations of like motherfucker, like things like that,
Yes.
the versatility. What about this is just like a broad thing, just whatever comes to mind for you, like a favorite quote from a character, whether comedic or anything.
Um why must my actions have consequences? There's one from
Oh,
Homer at one
I was gonna
episode.
say that's Homer, right? I love that. Oh, God.
Yeah.
Too funny. Oh my gosh.
I think he has another one. Well, if it isn't the consequences of my actions, something like that. Maybe that's a different show, but that's one that comes to mind. Yeah.
I love that. That's too funny. Oh my gosh. What about do you have a favorite animal?
I like dogs. Yeah,
Nice.
there's no such thing as a bad dog for me. Every dog, just needs a little bit of love.
Oh
But
yeah.
yeah, as far as the non-household animals, lemurs are pretty cool.
Oh yeah. Hmm. That's true. That's like I'm like, huh, underrated.
Yeah.
I didn't think of that. Yeah, they're have you seen one in person at all or no?
I think I did at the San Diego Zoo
Oh,
once
cool.
upon a time ago. I don't remember, but I feel like I have.
Nice. And then also, what's a place you'd love to visit someday?
I'd love to go to England. I love to go to
Hmm.
Singapore, and love a visit to Japan someday.
And then do you have a favorite place you have visited so far?
Yeah, one place that I really want to go back to was Solvang, California. It's like a little Denmark area. They got
Oh,
windmills and like the streets are paved like they would be in England or Europe, and just felt like a little bit of Europe. So I'd like to go back there sometime.
I've never heard. That sounds really nice. Is that
Yeah.
more Northern California or I never been, never heard of it.
It's sort of
So,
like it's about probably 2, 3 hours away northern of Los
hmm.
Angeles.
Oh, really cool. And so also the last thing I like to ask as we're wrapping up this interview, I like asking for advice. So whether this is advice for aspiring voice actors, for people in the industry, for artists, any advice you'd love to share.
Always utilize the power of networking. Don't be afraid to send a message to people who are working on projects. You never know when they might need additional help. Um, Keep every bit of advice written down and write your ideas down. Some days you might think of something really funny, really interesting, a story you might want to tell. Put a note in it. Make that something that you pick up someday or pick it up immediately or what have you. But when you forget your good ideas, then somebody else is bound to take them or they're bound to do something similar that you wish you had capitalized on a lot sooner. So never be afraid to invest in your ideas. Always keep your ideas in mind and build upon them when you can.
Well said. Excellent advice. Such a pleasure chatting with you, Jaden. So please feel free to share your social media, anything else you want to promote.
Thank you. Yeah, everything is the same username pretty much. Jayden Libran. JaydenLibran on Twitter, on Instagram. You can probably find me on TikTok, YouTube, same name. And got lots of stuff coming out. There's some indie projects that I've been a part of, set to release this summer and later this fall. And there's a new show that I'm doing on BET coming out. I can't say the name yet, but you'll see it when you see it. That'll be out next year. And we've got season 2 of Beavis and Butt-Head airing on Comedy Central this July. So check out those episodes. I'm in a handful of those. And that's just about it.
Really awesome. So fantastic. So thanks again. This was so great. I appreciate your time.
Thank you very much. Take care.
And with that, that's going to conclude this week's episode of Storytelling Saga. Check out storytellingsaga.com. And as always, feel free to send me any questions, comments, or writing prompts by emailing me at storytellingsaga@gmail.com. Until next time, thank you for listening, and remember, write what you love.